Welcome to the second episode of the Amature Film Podcast. As you can see, we've had a little bit of an upgrade. No longer sitting on the couch with a fridge and a fish tank humming away in the background. So on today's episode, we're going to go through a bit of tech. We're going to talk about Canon's newly released or announced 35mm camera. We're also going to go on a bit of a review time, and we're going to talk about Mission Impossible, which we saw on Sunday, which is fun. And we're also going to share our first impressions about the new Deadpool movie coming up. So let's get into it.
About 5 days ago, Canon released information about their new low-light camera, which has a ridiculous ISO of 4 million. They're approximating the price for it around about $30,000 US, which is huge. But for the low light you'll get from it, it's probably worth it to rent it, never buy it.
Yeah. Well, I guess when do you really need that much low light? Like an A7S is probably going to be, it's what, like 10 times cheaper.
Yep.
Or the A7S2 is probably going to be 10 times cheaper. That's probably going to have, even if it's the same amount of low light as what the A7S has at the moment, then you're never going to need anything more than that for, at least for narrative film, narrative storytelling, low budget, independent films, stuff like that. Well, I guess, bigger production houses might need it for stuff like wildlife movies, documentary, stuff like that. Bear Grylls could probably use one of those. For the size and stuff, it seems like, rather than having that infrared night footage.
Yeah, it's roughly the same size as a red.
Like Scarlet.
Like a red Epic.
Small.
Yeah. So, it has a 35mm full frame sensor, and it records at 1080p up to 60 FPS. The resolution on the sensor itself is only 2.26 megapixels, which gives it a rather large pixel pitch.
So that kind of, because it's a small megapixels, is the reason that it has such good low light capabilities.
Yeah, so each pixel is a lot larger than normal, and so more light hits that pixel, and so you can get more light in darker scenes. Yeah,
so the bigger your pixels are, the more light you get.
Yeah. And
because there's less pixels crammed into the sensor, they can be bigger.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's great. So the pixel pitch is 19 microns, where that, as compared to the A7S, has 8.4 microns. So quite a lot bigger, really. That's more than 4 times the size. So you get a lot of extra light.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why it's so much better. If you compare that to like the Red Dragon, which is like of 6, but you can kind of see how much the A7S is like the god of low light at the moment. But I guess he's no longer going to be the god of low. I still think he's the god of low light because the price. The A7S2 is what I'm excited to hear about.
But yeah. So this Canon camera will be out around about December sometime this year, 2015.
Okay. Cool. And here is a link.
Yep.
To the No Film School, or a video or something. Probably the No Film School.
Just the No Film School page for it.
Tom Cruise is back again for the another rendition of the Mission Impossible franchise, bringing you action, comedy, action, guns and action.
Double crossing.
action.
It's basically every other Mission Impossible movie that's ever been made.
But it doesn't fall into the sequel getting worse, I don't think. I liked it. I think it stood up to the rest of them.
It's like they use the same formula over and over again, but sometimes it still feels fresh. And that's why it happened this time. It still works every time.
Yeah.
So
what was your first? What were you walking out of the cinema? What was it? What were you thinking walking into the cinema, and what were you thinking walking out of the cinema?
I walked into it thinking it was just going to be action, 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 action. Based on the trailer that I saw, I thought it was going to be action, 100% all the way through. And I was pretty excited to go in to see it. I'd seen all the stunt works in that, and I liked it. And then coming out, I feel a little bit different. There was definitely a lot more dialogue, like character. Oh, yeah, I don't know. There wasn't really that much character development.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was pretty actiony. It was actiony, but it wasn't overwhelmingly action packed.
There was talking.
There was well, the talking wasn't although the talking wasn't super character driven or character development driven. There was some. I didn't want that to happen. I didn't. There was some nice humoristic, pauses. Humoristic. That's a word.
Humorous.
No, humoristic. That's my main word. Okay. There was nice humoristic pauses. That kind of took you out of the action feeling. Yeah. Simon Pegg did well.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah. Simon Pegg did well. Thanks, Simon.
Yeah. He was definitely the comedic relief of the movie, but he didn't feel like he was the Joker kind of character. The one that, is never serious or anything. Yeah, he wasn't
the sole comic relief. He wasn't there just for comic relief.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so when I went into it, I was kind of thinking, I was going in, I was kind of wanting a big action-y, I just wanted to be entertained. I wasn't there to feel emotional or anything. I just wanted a big action-packed, fun movie, and that's what I got. I was quite happy, I was quite pleased. It wasn't super American. There was a little bit of British-y type comedy in there. A little bit, thanks to Simon Pegg. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. There was some places where I was like, oh, that cliche again, but it wasn't too bad. There was lots of gunshots that he miraculously dodged with his miraculous spy powers. There was a long, relentless chase scene. But yeah, I was happy with it. It was a fun, entertaining movie. Don't go into it expecting it to be. Yeah, you just have to understand what you're going to watch. Don't go in and expect a big, life-changing movie that's going to grab your soul and
send a massive message at you.
Your heartstringy bits. Don't expect to cry or anything. You just have to understand what you're watching. Don't go in and be like, oh, he said it was a good movie. I could say it's a good movie for many different reasons. I could say it's a bad movie because it didn't emotionally develop the characters and it didn't have enough loss in it. It was a bad movie because not enough people died and there wasn't enough tragedy in it. Whereas I could also say, it's a great movie because it looked amazing, the acting was pretty good, there was explosions, and I was entertained the entire time. So, yeah.
Spoilers.
Spoiler, yeah, okay. So if you haven't seen it or don't want to be spoiled, click on this little annotation here.
Why is everything on my face?
Because, I don't know. Click on this annotation here, and it will send you to the after the spoilers.
Okay.
So, dun spoiler, dun spoiler, dun spoiler, dun spoiler. Begin.
Cool. So, what did you like about the movie?
Spoiler-wise.
Spoiler-wise. Explain.
What did I like? I don't know. It was just fun. I liked the journey it took him on. I liked to see him. I liked him being by himself. The character. It was, it just showed how raw, and it just showed how cool he was, how much of a badass he was. I think it was a bit predictable in the middle when they go and steal the memory card or whatever they're stealing, where he's like, I'm going to jump into the water, I've got 3 minutes. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, something's going to go wrong, or his plan's not going to go exactly to the way it's supposed to, and he's going to have to hold his breath for more than 3 minutes. And then, when he's in the water, he's probably going to not be able to open the door and then, faint. And then guess what happened?
Exactly that.
Exactly that. And then I'm like, oh no, he fainted. I bet the girl's going to come in and save him. And then guess what happened?
She saved him.
And then I'm going, please don't double cross him. But then guess what happened?
She double crossed him.
Yeah.
Again.
I liked the car chase that ensued after that. It showed him in a more comedic side. So Simon wasn't the comedic part of that section. But however, yeah, he was the I loved the actiony parts.
And the days. Driving insanely.
Yeah, exactly. And I just wish it stopped there. And I think you agree with me on that.
I agree. I think after it crashed, I think that should have been into the chase, and then he jumps on the motorbike and it keeps going. And at that point,
it was flat. It was just close up of him, and then a couple of even if they shortened that part, I would have liked it. But it was important for the storyline of the girl. Yeah. But how do you feel about the girl? What was her name?
I don't know. I can't even remember. Obviously, I wasn't attached to the character because I can't even remember her name.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say I wasn't a fan of her. I didn't enjoy.
It was too hard to understand.
I didn't enjoy the her double crossing all the time, and you saw it coming every time.
Well, you saw it coming
up until
the end, and you thought it was going to come, but it didn't.
Yeah.
And that was good.
I like the Mission Impossible movies where there is the double crossing, and it does it in a way that you're like, whoa, I didn't expect that. But then in this time, I just expected it every single time, up until the end. So I kind of got a little bit sick of that. But other than that, she was an interesting character, definitely. I'd like to know more about her before, because I want to know why she got framed for, or what it was that made her go rogue and join the syndicate.
No, I don't know how
they didn't really explain it.
Yeah, I was confused.
It must have been real brief or something, but I don't think they really.
I don't know
explained
if I was
it.
paying attention. I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, shall we do some ratings?
Did you want to talk about the cinematography and sound and that kind of
We
thing?
can do that now.
Okay. Cool.
So, purely on looks and sound, how it looked and how it sounded, what do you give it out of 10?
I would give it an 8.5 out of 10.
I would give it an 8. It looked good. I don't know if I even give it an 8. Maybe I give it a 7.5. It looked good. It was completely sound. It looked good. It was consistent. It sounded good. But there wasn't anything that separated it from any other movie that's made this year. It didn't stand out. It was great. It looked amazing and it sounded amazing, and the CG was good, and the stunts were good, and the cinematography was good, and it all worked together as a whole. But there wasn't anything that made it stand out from what you expected, which is what I kind of wanted.
Yep.
Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that, but I still think that they did a really good job of all the stunts that they did. The CG was really believable, and I just think they just did a good job all round.
Cool.
So
that's 8 from you, and
I stand by my 8.5.
I stand by my 7.5. Okay, what's next?
We'll go into
Story. You're up first.
I would give it a 7 for story. I felt like definitely the predictable double crossing was a massive letdown for me. But as with the whole syndicate thing, I thought that was quite interesting. Seeing this organisation turn on the British government and start to wreak havoc to get the money that was originally going to go to it.
I'm going to give it a 6.5.
Why?
I'm going to give it a 6.5 because although it was a coherent story that you could follow, that's just all it was to me. It wasn't bad. 6.5 is not bad. It sounds bad, but I reserve 10s for like way up there stuff.
Like what?
Like a 9 is pretty much a 10. So it's like, yeah, 6.5. It just wasn't. Yeah, it was great, but it wasn't amazing. I wanted Tom Cruise to die.
I think you're the only person that thinks that.
So, spoiler. When he's like at the end and he just saves Benji, his name's Benji, eh? Simon.
So. Simon's
he just saves Simon, and then he's the only one with the knowledge in his brain, and she looks at him and it goes quiet. I'm like, yes, something's bad in it. I'm like, they're gonna kill him, and a little part of me was like, that needs to happen. It needs like, he can't live forever, and I just wanted him to die, or her to kill him, or him to be like, yeah, kill me, and then he would have died. But it didn't happen because I feel like that would be so. It would have surprised you, and you would have been like, oh no. But then that's what I wanted to happen, or I wanted him to die a little bit later when that guy. But
well,
that's how I would have done it.
With that moment of silence, it immediately reminded me of the Western standoff in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Okay.
And that's exactly what I got reminded of, and I knew that he wasn't going to die.
I wanted him to die. He should have died. Okay.
Maybe.
So what's the next? Acting?
Acting.
Yeah,
Good. I think it was all good. I couldn't really point out anything that was that bad.
So out of 10?
Probably give it 8.5. Reserving those.
I'm going to give it a 7.
Because they weren't
They
overly.
were all consistently good. There was no standout performances. But it was good for the story that was written.
Yeah, they were kind of easy characters, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
they're not overly deep or anything. There was no emotion.
Yeah.
So it was just. The only emotion was between Tom Cruise's character and Simon Pegg's characters.
Yeah, but there was not a lot of character development.
Yeah.
That I.
So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So overall, what do you give it out of 10?
I would give it a 7.5.
I would give it a 7.
I like my halves.
Deadpool.
Okay, so we just watched the Deadpool trailer.
This is just...
Damn!
Yeah, let's keep this a really short scene.
Yeah.
Okay. Deadpool, what do you think?
I think it's going to be an amazing movie, and I'm just going to have a heck of a time watching it.
I want it to be one heck of a movie, but I don't know if it will be.
Why?
They've gone for the hard R, I'm just hoping that they're not going, oh, yep, we want this hard R, and we're going to earn it by dropping C-bombs and F-bombs all the time, and they're not going to do it for, like, they're just going to overuse the C and F-bombs.
I don't think they will.
They're going to try and earn they're just going to try and earn it.
I think they just.
I hope they don't. I hope they understand that they've gone for the hard R. I respect that they've gone for the hard R, but I don't want it to be too. I don't want them to be like, oh, we've got the hard R. Look at all our swear words.
Yeah.
They're not. I don't want them to swear for the sake of swearing.
I think they're just trying to keep it as close to the comics as they can, because that's what it seems
Yeah,
like
I
so
want it
far.
to be close to the comics. I don't want them to be going
Well,
hard R. Yeah, here we go. Hard R.
That's what the Deadpool's like, though. And so
I know.
Yeah.
I don't.
they're not doing
That's
it for
not
the
what
sake
I'm
of doing it,
saying.
they're doing it for.
I
keeping
know
it close.
that. I want them to do that.
Yeah,
I don't know whether they are doing that though.
it seems like they are, though.
That's your opinion. I disagree with you.
Okay, sure.
So, hit the like button if you liked it. Hit the dislike button because you didn't like it.
Share if you can,
Share if you care.
and subscribe.
And subscribe. Well, you don't have to subscribe.
Subscribe.
Consider it.
Just subscribe.
Just consider it.
Don't consider it. Just do it.
I don't want people to not. You have a choice
Do it.
if you want.